Hello everyone, and welcome to Victoria's Cantina, where today we're serving up a review of the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Star Wars The Last Jedi Kylo Ren. Now, very late last year, very early this year, there was an S.H. Figuarts unmasked Kylo Ren based on his appearance in The Force Awakens. It was a web exclusive, it was very hard to obtain, and as a result, it got very expensive very quickly. Missed out on it, but ultimately that ended up being a good thing because now we have the Last Jedi version of Kylo Ren, which is unmasked, but also comes with the helmet. So I'm really eager to get this out of the packaging and see what this figure is like. We'll also compare it to the recently released Hasbro The Black Series version. So the packaging, as you can see, looks pretty good. It's got this black sort of theme to it with this sort of metallic red. Not too dissimilar from what we usually see with the regular Star Wars figures, although that usually has the silver rather than red like we see here. But it looks pretty good. You can see the figure in there. Lots of plastic, which does make it a little bit hard to see the figure. But overall, looks pretty good. Image of him there on the side. Here at the back, we get a nice image of the figure itself, and then here with the helmet on, a couple of the Figuarts stormtroopers, and a couple more images there, and a bunch of writing in Japanese. So really excited to get this out of the packaging. So let me go and take a few minutes to do that. When we come back, we'll take a closer look at Kylo Ren. All right, now here he is out of the packaging, and overall, I really like what I'm seeing. For the most part, I do have a few issues. We'll get into all that. But just looking at the figure head on, full body shot, I think he looks really good. Very nice likeness, looks quite realistic. Good proportions. I feel like the costume looks pretty good. Again, I do have some issues with that too. The coloring is looking quite good. It does look to be a little bit light rather than a pure deep black. So that is quite interesting to see. But overall, it does look like the aesthetics are there, and you do get a ton of interchangeable hands. You get some pretty cool accessories in the alternate head. So let's take a close-up look at the figure. So as always, I would like to remind you that because we are looking at this figure up close and on camera, you might be noticing more imperfections than I am actually seeing in real life. That's just the beauty of digital, is that you can pick up a lot of detail. But even though, from what I can tell on the monitor, it looks like it's got a very good likeness. As I noted at the beginning, a very nice realism to the figure. And I am especially happy about that because we want these figures to look realistic, being S.H. Figuarts. And so far, I know that Mafex has improved. They're doing the digital face printing now, and Hasbro is doing it now with Marvel Legends, and soon to be doing it with the Black Series. I don't think that any of these companies quite have anything on Figuarts yet. Hopefully we continue to see improvements with those other companies, but so far, I think that the Figuarts still have the best overall face printing technique. It just looks really nice. I mean, the figure just looks quite incredible. From a sculpting perspective, this totally looks like Adam Driver. I mean, no matter how I angle it, I feel like it really does look like him. Now, is it perfect? It's not, and I don't think that has so much to do with sculpting as much as it does with the actual paint. Now, I feel like the skin tone is good. It looks like a good midway point between being pale and having a nice deep skin tone to it. And if you look at Adam Driver, he is a little bit dark. So I think that they did a good job capturing that here. The eyebrows also look pretty good. The eyes look nice. I do feel like they're a little bit on the light side. No pun intended. They should be a little bit darker. They really should be a little bit darker. Here they kind of almost look green, and Adam Driver has really dark eyes, so that's my biggest issue thus far. As far as the rest of the skin detail goes, it looks good. You can see he's got that facial scar. That's really nicely done. It is a little more subtle than maybe it looks in the film, at least from what we've seen in the previews, but I think that it looks quite good overall. The jawline looks really good. Nose looks really good. Again, very good likeness. But the lips are a little bit weird in the sense that you can kind of see a little bit of like red speckling or like red paint, like just little droplets there, especially like on the upper lip. I don't really know what purpose that's meant to serve, but it does look a little unusual. Also, a few little dots on the face. From what I've seen, other people on their Kylo Ren have that little dot right there next to his right nostril. So it is interesting. Obviously, Adam Driver does have freckles and such on his face, so maybe that's what they were going for. Now, the hair does look really good. It's very nice, deep black, which was one problem I had with the Black Series, was that they gave him brown hair, which just isn't accurate. So this is a lot closer to what it should look like, and it's nicely sculpted. You can see that it does look pretty good, but it is kind of flat in the sense that it's just black. There aren't any highlights or anything like that to give it extra depth or dimension. I think it gets the job done, but perhaps it could have been a little bit better if they would have found a way to, just kind of highlight it just a little bit more. Not too much like they do with the blonde figures like Obi-Wan Kenobi and Luke Skywalker, but maybe just a little bit of something. But if it were going to be too exaggerated or a little understated as it is here, then, I'll definitely go with understated. Now, the costume I feel like looks good, but I feel like the detail's a little bit light. Especially when you think about the Black series where, you have more sculpted detail. It just looks like it has better texture on it. And again, we'll compare in a little bit, but I kind of feel like it just looks a little bit soft on the details. I feel like that could have been a little bit better. The arms also, to me, look a little bit thin. Now, I know that the costume kind of gives him this look where the arms are a little bit thin looking, but I kind of feel like maybe they should have been just a little bit more beefed up, particularly here in the elbows. I know that they look like this because of the articulation, but I feel like that should look a little bit better. I feel like there should have been a way for them to improve that just a little bit. Here at the waist, the belt looks good. A little disappointing that there's no painted detail there on the belt. I mean, even the Black series has painted detail on the belt, even the Mayfex does, so that is a little disappointing. There's a little hole right there for his lightsaber. I'll show you how that plugs in just a little bit. You can see that the lower parts of his jacket come down to about right here. And the legs look good overall. They're decently sculpted, but again, the detail looks a little bit soft to me. I do like the color. The Hasbro one has like brownish sort of pants, and this is more of like a darker gray color. I like that better. And the boots also look really good. They did a good job on the boots. Again, a little bit soft, but at least you do have the painted buckles, which is nice to see. No peg holes on bottom. As far as articulation goes, he does have a ball joint at the head. It's like a ball peg, and it doesn't really go down a whole lot. Doesn't go up because of the hair, but you can turn it, and you can kind of cock it over just a little bit. And the neck is also on a ball peg, and it falls off very easily, just like that. Too easily. You can see where they have the ball joint in there, and then right there's the socket. It's just a little bit too far in there, and that really prevents you from getting good movement here. So that is too bad. Reminds me kind of that 3 3/4 inch, the Black series Darth Vader Revenge of the Sith version from 2014, 2015. That was a really disappointing figure for a very similar reason. The head just would not stay on. This is a little bit better than that, but still a little bit disappointing. Here for the shoulders, you do have that butterfly type joint, so you can see that moves independently from the arm and the torso. So that is kind of cool. He does have hinges here at both of the shoulders, and that enables you to pull them down and prop them back up like that. You can move them out. You can move them forward. Good movement. Double bends here at the elbows, so you can get more than 90 degrees. Really, really nice. Typical ball pegs here at the wrists, as we see on Figuarts figures, so you can move them pretty much in any which way direction you like. You just need to rotate that wrist to get it to your liking. Ball joint here at the torso, and it's pretty good. If you pull it hard enough, it'll just pull off, but seems to be moved pretty well as is. Here at both of the hips, you have those usual drop down joints, so you can kind of pull them out a little bit, give them a little more length, and that does help with posing. And the hips do move out all the way like this. I was going to say forward, they move out all the way. So very nice Kylo Ren split. And yeah, you can move them forward all the way, just like he's sitting in a chair or something. And these are pretty nicely done. Here at the knees, you get more than 90 degrees. That does make me happy to see. You can't really spin them though. And then here at the ankles, he's got the ball pegs, so you can go down, you can go up, you can rotate it, you can pivot it. Pretty nice. And then bends at both of the toes. So nicely articulated overall, even though there are a few issues there. I think for the most part, they did a good job with it. Now, as far as the extra hands go, as you notice, he does come with fisted hands out of the packaging, closed fists, but you also get a set of open hands. You get a set of sort of semi-closed, semi-open hands. You get a set of these other types of I don't know what you would really call this. It's like an open hand for holding the lightsaber, but the fingers are kind of positioned a little bit differently. And then you have these hands right here, which do look like they are meant specifically for holding onto the lightsaber. So you do have options here. For the lightsaber, you actually get 2 deactivated hilts and 1 ignited hilt. And these are pretty cool. What I like about these ones is that you do have options as far as for display. This one has a little peg. That's what goes into the side of his belt. And it's actually really nice looking. Nice detail on it. Nice coloration on it. Looks quite screen accurate to my eye. I think it looks really awesome. So really good detail there. And then this would be one that you would just have him holding onto for display. I think it looks really nice as well. Pretty much the same thing, just without the little peg for plugging it into his belt. And then you also get the ignited lightsaber, which again, looks just as good as the other ones as far as the hilt is concerned. And the blades look quite nice on it. Very nice, pure, deep red color. It is a little bit vibrant. And I think it looks good. I wasn't quite sure how I was going to like this because I really like the Mafex one. And I still think that's probably the best one overall. But this is actually really nice in person, even though those blades at the bottom look a little bit short. You also get the alternate head, which is the helmeted head, and I think it looks really nice. It's got a very nice sculpt to it. I'm really happy with how it's looking. But I gotta admit, it looks a little bit dull. Like, it's not a very shiny black. It's very matte looking. Even the silver details look kind of subdued. Whereas on the Mafex, again, they were very nice. They were even metallic. They were very reflective. This isn't the case at all. What is interesting is that the neck piece separates from the rest of the head if you grab it right and pull it really, really hard. Just like that. So you have that piece there, and then you have the helmet. They go together, and that's what goes onto the figure. So you do need to remove the entire thing, and luckily that comes off pretty easily. And then from there, you can just put the new neck on there, and then you can put the helmeted head like that. And it looks good. It does look really nice. But like I said, it just looks a little bit subdued. I wish it was a little bit more visually striking. Now, if you wanted to use the helmeted neck with the unmasked head, you can't really do it because, as you can see, you can't just plug it in there. It's not the right fit. And the same goes for the helmeted head on the skin tone neck. I mean, you could put it on there, but now it just looks really wacky. So we don't want to do that either. Now, as far as that lightsaber is concerned, we got to grab the one with the peg, and then we just slide it in there like that. And I like this. The Hasbro one takes a different approach, as it did for The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi. And ultimately, it didn't really work out that well because the saber never stays in. This is a much better approach, even if it is a little bit less film accurate. And you will notice that it doesn't actually go in all the way. You can kind of see the peg there a little bit. So that's a little bit annoying. But, I mean, ultimately, not a huge deal. So swapping the hands, you would just need to pull them out like that. You would just grab the hand of your choosing, just line it up properly, and make sure you line it up properly because this is always difficult and you don't want to break anything. And you guys know how I am with this. I'm not the best at doing it. But once you get it in, and excuse the headless nature of my figure, it seems to be in pretty well. Now, one thing that is kind of difficult about these lightsaber gripping hands is that it is really difficult to get the lightsaber in there. You got to keep pushing, pushing, and pushing. And ultimately, it goes in there. I kind of fear it's going to rub on the paint. Here's a comparison between the Figuarts, The Last Jedi Kylo Ren, and the Black Series, The Last Jedi Kylo Ren. And I don't really need to say anything. I mean, just looking at them side by side, this kind of tells you everything. If you're looking for a higher end, a more detailed, premium type figure, you're definitely going to want to go with the Figuarts. If you're okay with the more mass-produced, toy-like figure, there's nothing wrong with the Black Series. I collect all the Black Series, and I pick and choose with the S.H. Figuarts. But you do get what you pay for. It's not really a wrong or a right answer. It just boils down to what your preference is and how much money you want to spend. But you will go with the Figuarts. And then here's a comparison to the Figuarts The Last Jedi Kylo Ren with the Mafex The Force Awakens Kylo Ren. And yeah, I know the costumes are very different, but I still wanted to show them to you side by side because I did mention how much more dynamic I feel like the Mafex lightsaber is. And I truly feel like that is the case. If you look at them side by side, yeah, I mean, this just looks a lot more awesome to me. But there's also what I mentioned earlier about the helmets. The Figuarts just looks too dull. And then the Mafex, I think they really got it right as far as sculpting and detail go. You can see it just looks a lot more cool. deeper black, and you got the shiny metallic grill, if you want to call it. I don't know what you want to call that. And then inside you can see that the visor piece has a lot of texture on it. And the Figuarts has a little bit, but it just doesn't look anywhere near as dynamic overall. And I also mentioned how the detail sculpted here is kind of light. And it's kind of hard to tell because I have all the clothes on, but this looks a little more textured to me for the Mayfax. You do have options, and it's the same thing with the Black Series. Like I said, you have options, depends on how much money you want to spend and what you're comfortable buying. This just looks a little more detailed to me than the Figuarts. There definitely are pros and cons. If you want a happy medium between the two, I know that the Mayfax is kind of expensive, but you do get the unmasked head, which looks terrible. That's why I'm not showing it to you here. But it just feels like a more premium figure overall than these other two do, interestingly. So I feel like this is kind of maybe between this and the Mayfax. It's kind of weird to hear me saying that because to me, Figuarts for a long time was like the pinnacle of 6-inch figures, but now Mayfax is really stepping up their game. And now we have things like Mesco, which, does some pretty awesome stuff too. So again, plenty of options when it comes to Kylo Ren. If you're simply focusing on The Last Jedi, I think this is probably the best version overall right now. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so there you have it. This is the Bandai Tamashii Nations S.H. Figuarts Kylo Ren from Star Wars Episode 8, The Last Jedi. Overall, you guys, I am very happy with the figure. Is it a perfect figure? Absolutely not. In fact, there are some things that I feel are downright disappointing, namely the fact that the sculpted detail feels very soft between the helmet and the rest of the outfit. Especially when you look at it side by side with the Mayfax and you look at it side by side with the Hasbro Black Series. It's just kind of disappointing that this sculpted detail is this light because, as we know from other reviews I've done for Figuarts, Star Wars figures, they usually do a really good job. Here it just feels like the sculpted detail is a little bit lackluster. Now, I really do like the unmasked head. I feel like that really makes the figure for me. It's very realistic. It's got a great sculpt, great likeness to Adam Driver. And the only real problem I have is that the eyes should be darker. Beyond that, when you have the unmasked head on this figure's body, it's great. Like I said, could be better overall. There are some issues that I still have with the figure, but at least they got the unmasked head very close to perfect, and that makes me super happy. I also really like that they gave me 3 lightsabers. You get the ignited one, you get the unignited one, and you get the unignited one that plugs into his belt. That's really awesome. I love having those options. And all the interchangeable hands are a little bit difficult to plug in, but it is nice that I at least have those options in case I want to change up how I'm displaying the figure. So it is a little bit of a mixed bag, but I do feel like the articulation seems to be fluid for the most part. Again, the heads are a little bit weird, especially because the necks on either the unmasked or the masked head don't really give you too much movement at all. But again, at least we do have some options for how we're displaying the figure and being able to change it up from time to time. So yeah, overall it is a little bit of a mixed bag, but I do feel that the pros definitely outweigh the cons. And for that reason, I feel like this is totally worth having in my collection. Now, whether you decide to buy it, completely up to you. I hope that I've done a satisfactory job of demonstrating the differences between some of these figures. Rey's going to be coming up next month. And you know what? I really hope they get around to Luke Skywalker. That's the one that I'm kind of really waiting to see whether or not they're going to do it, is The Last Jedi Luke Skywalker. So hopefully we'll find out soon. All right, my friends, hope that you've enjoyed this video. If so, do give us a like, do subscribe. Let me know your thoughts down below. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Check out the Cantina Chatter podcast on iTunes. And as always, I'd like to thank you for tuning in to Victoria's Cantina. Until next time, bye-bye.